Yes. Okay, so I don't do ad-libbing, so I have a script. And I'm going to watch my slideshow as we go. Okay, and roll on, Jason. So for 5 years, I have made performance projects that look at the bizarre intersection of the reality that we define for ourselves and reality as it is designed for us. This work embodies the inevitable confusions. Popular culture references are integral to my work because it often mirrors, amplifies, and transforms existing cultural fixations. But looking at the world in such a way can be frustrating and disheartening, so my work has inspired mixed reactions. However, my most recent project did earn national press, which was very rewarding. As an example, I might make a show in the future about the changing status of the gun in our society. Perhaps you've been paying attention and have been struck, as I have, by the question, when did the gun get so popular? Gone are the days of the gun being glamorous, when the sight of a gleaming, smoking gun would make you think, Jesus, a gun! It seems to me that in the not-too-distant past, we had a collective understanding that guns did not exist in the day-to-day life that we experience, but they existed strictly in the domain of evil doers and in the domain of beautiful heroes. And of course, they existed in the domain of messed up robots. But something has changed all that. If this was one of my projects, I would use the stage to pose a provocative solution to a question like this in the name of subjective agency. I tried to make you think, in other words, however unpopular that does make me. In this case, I propose a provocation that the nutters are at fault. They mistook themselves for beautiful evildoers and also for beautiful heroes. They did not sufficiently appreciate the difference between the fiction of beauty and the reality of ugly, which of course every normal, average, sane person, such as the people in this room, completely and utterly and totally comprehend in absolute terms of clear-cut 100% certainty. Or I might propose that at some point there were so many guns all of the time that the idea of the gun made the gun itself totally normal or even banal, pedestrian, everyday, as though the gun was cut from the picture and pasted into the hand of average Joe. I'd call this the force of proliferation. Now, don't think for a moment that I'm blaming mass media for gun violence. I like shoot-'em-ups as much as the next guy, and you don't see me rampaging. For example, I'm genuinely looking forward to seeing this film, Two Guns, starring Mark Wahlberg and Mr. Washington at the midnight showing on August 15th. And also as a writer, I know that sometimes protagonists take on real depth and complexity with the complication of a dangerous, they're just really pretty, of a dangerous firearm. But like the force of gravity, the force of proliferation is undeniable. Under its spell, we forget a thing is extraordinary and it becomes ordinary. I'm sure you can think of examples too. For example, fat cats. So this is an excellent example. It's something we hear about all the time, talked about, see pictures and moving image of. It's in newspapers, it's on TV news all the time with the fat cats, to the point where we think, stop, we don't even care anymore. Another good example is women in positions of power. Actually, this is not a universal cultural phenomenon yet. And because I care a little bit about my audience, I would propose that the nutters were the first to feel the effects of the force of proliferation. Dazzled into confusing themselves with what they saw, They carried on with gun-toting antics that only fed the frenzy, and soon every pleb, equally dazzled at the blurred edge of reality, thought they too could and therefore should own a gun and use guns because it's the done thing. I suppose they thought it's the done thing. I Googled that picture. I found that picture on the internet. It's a fad like any other fad. It's a fad so strong that the thing itself, the materiality of the thing, is subjected to and replaced by the hype around the thing. But unlike other fads, this one actually poses a grave threat. Well, why? Audiences ask me, why is it such a big hairy deal if versions of reality clash or even disrupt one another? We've survived metaphysical discord without your shows, potted philosophy, or your clunky scene changes. Why not leave it and us alone? I'd agree with my hypothetical audience that sure, yeah, you can evade a gun-toting drug dealer by paying in cash and in full. Yeah, you can avoid a gangster by leaving alone his human trafficking roots. And you can evade cowboys by using fast trains. But you're right, it's a rare thing to come into contact with nutters, and sure, by and large, optimistic plebs imitating the pretty flashy are harmless, but the force of proliferation has yielded a new danger, something you cannot anticipate nor evade, nor that you can escape nor cajole. The gun, with all its certainty, awakens the desire to have impact through self-determination in the worst kind of shooter, the aimless individual nobody with a quiet agenda so buried they may not even perceive it themselves. But before I can have difficult conversations like that, I really need to tidy up my scene changes.